Please welcome Fortinet's Chief Marketing Officer and Executive Vice President, Products, John Maddison.
Hello everybody, this is John Maddison, CMO and EVP of Products at Fortinet. Today I want to talk about the Fabric or platform and how it will enable you to accelerate your digital innovation. So this is Innovate On, Accelerate 2020. Let's get going. Before we get into the details on products and solutions and platforms, let's just take a quick look at the current landscape. Digital attack surface definitely increased enormously as the perimeter has gone from being a very narrow piece of the data center to being across the infrastructure. Threats aren't getting any less sophisticated, and the volumes, ransomware is increasing dramatically. As a company, it's very complex. You have too many vendors, too many point products, not enough people, you can't automate. And then compliance. Every single industry and country and region these days has some sort of compliance. Now, in terms of the threat landscape, I think still today, 50% of breaches are through social engineering. And of course, with the current environment, what we're seeing is people trying to take advantage of the coronavirus and COVID-19. We're just seeing a huge increase. And the trouble is with today's social systems, there's much more information about you as an individual, which they can use inside these phishing schemes. Another interesting part is that we're seeing a huge increase still in ransomware, not only breaches, and then about 30% of the attacks are through exploits, another 20% through misconfiguration or inside of one of the large cloud breaches last year was through misconfiguration. Now, I talked about the perimeter getting very large. If you look at the compute model, it's not one compute model. First of all, not everybody is moving everything into the cloud. There's still private data centers. In fact, we've got some big financial customers building hyperscale data centers. Yes, cloud's very important from a public perspective and infrastructure. A lot more SaaS applications being used. But we're seeing some manufacturing organizations start to implement edge compute. So it's going to be very much a hybrid compute for a long time. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got users and devices. A lot more devices are IP enabled, whether it be IoT or OT. And in the middle, we've got the network, which is becoming extremely important. And the reason for that is the network determines the quality of service, the user experience of those devices and users as they try and get to the compute. So whether it be SD-WAN, whether it be 5G, secure switching, segmentation is becoming very important. Now, what we also have seen, of course, in the last 3 months or so is the importance of work from home, teleworker. And so having that network that can reach out and scale to hundreds of thousands of users, wherever they may be, is becoming very important as well. The network, a fast and secure network, is extremely important. Now, in terms of the teleworker, I would say, this is probably becoming the biggest thing we've seen. We have customers who've gone from 10% of their workforce being teleworkers to almost 100%. So maybe from 1,000 to 50,000 or something like that. And to do that, you need great scale. And so our systems in the data center and the cloud provide specific capabilities to allow you to increase IPsec or SSL VPN way beyond a normal system, allowing you to instantly scale lots of users, lots of throughput. And then we're also seeing some customers take it very seriously in terms of putting additional security in the home itself. So not just a client with a VPN, but putting a next-gen firewall there, putting SD-WAN there. And in fact, SD-WAN is becoming extremely important technology, or secure SD-WAN as we call it, because SD-WAN's not just for the branch. In fact, I have SD-WAN installed in my home here. You're going to see SD-WAN installed in the campus. You're going to see it installed in the data center. You're going to see it installed in the cloud for distributed clouds. And so SD-WAN is fundamental technology all the way from the home, all the way into the cloud. In terms of data center technology, today we're delivering now what we call MP7-based FortiGates with a security rating from 5 to 10x faster than equivalent price systems from the competition. So whether it be from the home, whether it be the WAN, SD-WAN, cloud, data center, large scale, Fortinet is producing the technology to make that scale for you as an organization. Fortinet totally believe the platform approach is the only way to build cybersecurity architectures going forward. We call it our security fabric. We've been working on it for over 10 years. It's a core part of many of our different products. Yes, it would have been easy for us to maybe go out and buy these different products and try and bolt them together, glue them together. The only way you can build a true platform is to build it organically. Now the platform, first component of the platform is the security-driven networking, accelerating the convergence of networking and security. A really good example of that is secure SD-WAN. Zero trust network access, knowing and controlling everything and everyone on the network. Network access control, a good example of that. Dynamic cloud security, security that follows your applications and data into whichever cloud you're going to deploy from. And then AI-driven security operations, automatically preventing, detecting, and responding to cyber threats across the entire attack surface, all managed through a single console. And then a huge ecosystem of 350 plus partners, which can provide connectivity, can provide a broader look across the entire infrastructure, all of it available in different consumption models, whether it be appliance, virtual machine, hosted, cloud, software agent, container. This is the Fortinet Security Fabric. Let's take a look at the 2020 Fortinet Security Fabric.
The Fortinet Security Fabric, enabling digital innovation with the broadest end-to-end cybersecurity platform. It all starts with network security and the #1 next-generation firewall and secure SD-WAN solutions in the world. Secure and accelerate the network and user experience. Secure Wi-Fi and switching access. Extend security to the access layer. Network access. Know and control who and what is on the network. Fabric Management Center. Centralize management and automate workflows with a single console. Open Fabric Ecosystem. Seamless partner integrations for end-to-end interoperability. Cloud infrastructure. Protect and control the entire infrastructure across multi-cloud environments. Applications. Protect business-critical applications from web to mail and prevent advanced threats. Security operations. Automatically prevent, detect, and respond to cyber threats. Endpoint. Protect users and devices on and off the network. The Fortinet Security Fabric. Broad, integrated, automated. From the #1 cybersecurity company in the world.
The Fabric provides broad visibility of the entire digital attack surface, from endpoint to access to the WAN to the data center all the way into the cloud. It's totally integrated. Each element can be part of the topology map. Each element talks to each other and communicates. But the most important part of the Fabric long term is automation. If I have an endpoint that's got a vulnerability or a piece of malware, I can automatically tell the switch or the access point to take it off the network. Or I could tell the next-gen firewall not to allow access to the data center. Automation is critical to building a platform long term. Let's look at the products inside the Fabric. Some additional products this year in 2020. It all starts with the FortiGate and FortiOS, supporting over 15 different network security use cases. As you move towards the LAN, you have FortiAP, you have FortiSwitch. A new element is FortiExtender, today providing 4G and LTE, in the future 5G connectivity from the WAN. Going further towards devices and users, we have FortiNAC, the Fabric Agent, FortiAuthenticator. Coming back towards the WAN and into the cloud, into the data center, we have FortiGate Virtual Machine. A new product, Forti Cloud Workload Protection, FortiCWP. Application protection from FortiWeb, Web Application Firewalling. Mail Security, CASB, ADC. And then the Security Operations Center has really been expanded. So not only do we have FortiClient, but now we have FortiEDR as part of that endpoint solution, FortiAnalyzer, FortiSandbox, FortiSIM, but also now some automation with FortiSOAR, and then a single management console, FortiManager or FortiGate Cloud or FortiCloud across everything. Every one of these elements can take FortiGuard services. And then they can be delivered in the different form factors. It's worth noting this is the Fortinet footprint, Fortinet fabric, but 3 of these products actually extend further outside of that. FortiNAC, for example, supports all the different switches, all the different access points from many different vendors. So does FortiSOAR in terms of automation, obviously in FortiSIM. In fact, even FortiEDR supports different vendors outside there. So it's a very well integrated platform and fabric, but it also connects into your existing ecosystem. Let's go into more detail about the fabric. Let's start with security-driven networking. Whether you're a service provider, enterprise, small business, or even the home, you have networks. This could be routers, access, switching, Wi-Fi, cloud these days, SD-WAN. And then you have security, segmentation, firewalls, SSL inspection, content. The goal of security-driven networking is to accelerate the convergence of networking and security. The way you do that is to apply security processing units, or ASICs, that allow you to run networking and security very fast. At the same time, you can also consolidate some of the security features, such as application control and firewalling and IPS, into things like next-gen firewalls. You bring it all together with a single policy engine, and analytics allows you to do the automation. This is what we call the 3rd generation of network security. One of the big differences between Fortinet firewalls is the ability to support all the network security use cases. A lot of firewalls support 1 or 2, and then they run out of performance. Fortinet supports all of them, ranging from secure SD-WAN, we'll talk a bit about that later on, consolidation into next-gen firewall of IPS, app control, web filtering, accelerated segmentation. A lot of firewalls can't even handle internal segmentation, for example. The most scalable remote access through VPN, IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, expansion to SD branch through Wi-Fi, controllers built in, NAC, SSL inspection with degradation only 10% versus 80% of the competition, hyperscale support, the new MP7 will support hyperscale data centers, and of course integration of 4G and 5G. The ability then to have connectors to integrate into all the major orchestration systems, and then finally build that automation both in terms of provisioning and response. In terms of the new capabilities just coming out right now, we have FortiOS, which drives a lot of those capabilities and features. FortiOS 6.4 right now, 6.41 will be here either this week or next week. I mentioned the MP7 is just rolling out in some new FortiGates. We rolled out SOC 4 last year. FortiGuard has some new services around IP management and IoT, and then a lot of emphasis on management and orchestration through FortiManager. Overall, big picture, what does this mean? Well, secure access. We've enhanced the Wi-Fi controller and Ethernet controller sitting inside there. We're starting to broaden the AP range through Wi-Fi 6 models and integrated FortiExtender, so it's just an interface on the policy of SD-WAN. The orchestration system's been enhanced for more scalability and ability to manage. We've enhanced the application performance, more granular SD-WAN analytics. And then we still continue to roll out consolidation, next-gen firewall features. VDOM's now more available inside the fabric visibility, a separate IPS administration capability to allow the security team to manage IPS separately from firewall, and enhanced web gateway inside FortiGate. Now, as some of you are aware, Fortinet is a market leader in SD-WAN, more precisely secure SD-WAN, and the only solution that has enterprise-class SD-WAN fully integrated within the next-gen firewall, allowing it to scale from the home to the branch to the distributed cloud. Several components. The first one, of course, is being an appliance which is powered by a system on a chip. We just released a SD-WAN ASIC SOC 4 last year that gives it 10x the performance. Now, we do have it available in virtual machines. Some of our service provider customers like to do it that way, but the appliance works about 10 times faster than our competitive solutions. And then the core of our SD-WAN solution is on FortiOS. More recently, it'll be 6.41. We've always had a very advanced routing stack inside there. And then, of course, next-gen firewall, VPN, dynamic segmentation. But we've added an enterprise-class SD-WAN functionality in there to give it advanced networking and security. There are options for SD branch with built-in Wi-Fi and switch controllers and built-in extender controllers for 4G, 5G. Sitting on top of that is the availability of all the FortiGuard services, whether it be anti-botnet. I talked about the Internet Services Database, application control, IoT, web, all of it's available across that particular system. And then a cloud-based orchestration system, both in terms of management, both in terms of analytics, and we've recently enhanced the orchestration system. As we go forward with SD-WAN, we're going to see more capabilities in terms of cloud on-ramp, where we integrate APIs into those different clouds to give even more, even smarter routing into the clouds, and then some AI-based operational capabilities which will provide predictive operational excellence in terms of predicting where particular network problems will occur and dealing with those well in advance. Our SD-WAN solution is definitely the most advanced and scalable on the market. Now, one of the technologies that Fortinet develops, which is totally unique in the industry, nobody else does this or can do this, is we build our own security processing units. The analogy I always use for this is the GPUs for gaming systems, where the GPU offloads the CPU for the rendering. So we actually have two that offloads the CPU. We still have CPUs in our systems, obviously, for new features, management, and policy. One of the main ones is the network processor, which offloads all the networking functions, such as firewalling or NATing and things like that. Well, we just released a new version. Previously it was MP6, now we have the MP7. It takes it to a new level of performance. We also have a content processor 9, which offloads the security functions from the CPU. We also have something compact that brings all these things together, CPU, MP, and content processor, called a SoC, System on a Chip. Last year we released the System on a Chip 4 for SD-WAN. Now just look at these performance numbers. This MP7 is at a completely different level, even from our current network processor, which is very, very fast, the MP6. The MP7 is a 200 gig firewall in its own right. It can do a lot more of the firewalling functions without needing to have the CPU help. Connections per second, 2 million. That's just incredible numbers. It's got hardware acceleration of some key features like DDoS, VXLAN, logging, and now you're opening up not only the increased performance of existing file applications, but new areas such as elephant floats, edge compute, perimeter firewall, high definition TV, 5G networks, core segmentation. Now, if you look at the product range right now, it's the entry level, which is based on the SoC systems, mainly for SD-WAN. We've got our mid-range appliances, which is the 200 to 900. Where the high-end 1000, 2000, 3000, and 6000 series, and then the ultra-high-end or chassis-based system, the 7000E series. Right now, there's a bit of a transition on the entry level. E models go into F, so a 60E migrating to 60F. We've been doing some work also on the mid-range, where the D models are being upgraded to E models. And then we're just finishing off some of the D models, and the high-end appliances going to E series, and we're already delivering actually what we call F series, which are MP7. If you look at the mid-range, it consists of a CPU, an MP, and a CP, and then the system scales very well by adding more CPUs, more MPs, and more content processors. And so we did announce last week the FortiGate 4200F next-gen firewall. It's not the first firewall to be announced with MP7 inside it. We announced the 1800F in Q1. That had one network processor. This 4200F has 4 network processor 7s inside it. It has 16, 10, 25 gig ports, 8 4100 gig ports. Firewall alone is 800 gigs. Now, what we usually do is take a look at the competition, and we produce something called a security compute rating. It's like the industry average there. You can see in the green is the industry average of 3 or 4 competitors, and then we compare our system at the same price range. By the way, this is not $1 million system. It's less than 200K. And the security compute rating shows the ratio. It's an 8 times faster firewall, 14 times faster in terms of concurrent sessions, 15 times faster in connections per second, 10 times faster in IPsec, very important in today's world, and 5 times faster in SSL inspection. As I mentioned, not only that, but it also can handle 100 gig elephant flows. It still has microsecond latency, built-in hardware logging. People don't realize logging takes away from performance. Accelerated VXLAN is sitting inside there for the data center, carrier grade NAT, and of course all of this in a much reduced power form factor. This is a stunning new next generation firewall. Secure access is extremely important. Fortinet has a secure access portfolio, the FortiAP, which covers all deployment scenarios. We have an extensive range of access points, ranging from wall jacks to indoor with external antennas, rugged for OT environments. Two types of controllers. One is the fabric controller that sits inside FortiOS, which again is free of charge and can provide controller functionality across all the different APs, or you can go for a cloud controller type solution set. Many different options depending on the AP and the software you want to switch on, 2x2 or 4x4 spatial systems. We have 3 radios. You can maybe use one of the radios for monitoring, dual Ethernet, PoE powered, BLE I think is in all the models right now, dual 5 gig radios and Wi-Fi 6 or 11AX. So an extensive range of secure access, which is particularly important for things like SD branch. Complementary to the FortiAP is the FortiSwitch, or the secure FortiSwitch, which covers all the way from the desktop all the way into the data center. The 100 series and 200 series, for example, are excellent for SD branch. 3 controller options. Again, the fabric controller, totally integrated and free of charge. Optional cloud controller. And then, of course, you can use it in standalone mode, but you obviously don't get the security with that. Now, all sorts of options, multi-gig support, PoE, partial, full, up to 100 gig oplinks, rugged options for OT, and one of the few companies that offer limited lifetime warranty. This is very complementary to the whole SD branch use case that provides that secure access, either Ethernet or access points. One of the most important areas of the fabric are the FortiGuard subscription and bundle threat intelligence services. These are available for you to apply across the fabric, across the different threat vectors. Now, baseline that comes with FortiCare, or the 24/7 support, is application control and the Internet Services Database. The ISDB, by the way, tracks the major SaaS serverings in terms of their IP addresses. Now, this is important because SD-WAN is also free of charge and part of the base network operating system. So you can use SD-WAN, you can apply policy against application control or ISDB or both. That's very important. Now, the first bundle, as we call it, is the Advanced Threat Protection, which is really focused on delivering IPS and advanced malware for protecting servers in the data center. After that, you can add on what we call the Unified Threat Protection. So you get everything inside Advanced Threat Protection, but in addition, you'll get web filtering or URL filtering, as well as email filtering, but email is really for the very small customers. Really, this is focused on providing that web protection. Then you can go to the Enterprise Protection bundle, which again includes everything inside UTP, but also adds some great new services. Security rating, we introduced a few releases ago, has been enhanced. It's now includes some compliance components. It's that kind of best practices type scenario you can apply across your infrastructure. Very important. Industrial security has always been there, and also another new service called IoT Service Security, which will be available inside the Enterprise Protection bundle. And then you get a more advanced support and things like converter tools. Now, the largest bundle is called the 360 Protection bundle, which includes everything inside Enterprise Protection, but also 2 new areas. One is a IPAM, or IP Management Service, which is now available alongside FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer Cloud and Operations. And then we've also expanded the SD-WAN orchestration, which did have monitoring inside there, and VPN overlay now has also a centralized orchestration and control system as part of FortiManager. Now, you can buy all these services individually, depending on your security needs or your traffic patterns, etc. Or you could buy a bundle and add a service in. So it's very flexible, a wide range of services covering all the different threat vectors and attack vectors available as FortiGuard subscription services. So let's look at the next part of the fabric, cloud, or dynamic cloud security as we call it. Obviously, there's a lot of attention in cloud right now, but there's many different types. There's your private cloud, hybrid cloud. There's many types of different public cloud. There is SaaS, both security as a service as well as applications. There's edge compute, many different types. You can see some of the big names there: Microsoft Azure, Google, Salesforce, VMware, Amazon. What you need to be able to do is to bring that security, so security that follows your applications and data into those different clouds, so that any application on any cloud has the same security for every cloud. If you look at the security stack, there's the networking component, there's securing the platform and applications. Depending on the cloud, of course, you can apply different types of that. So for a private cloud, you can apply the full stack of networking, platform, and application security. For a SaaS, maybe you only get an API for application security. But again, you bring it all together through a single management console, single analytics console, then you can apply the automation. Now, as we said, cloud is a very, very dynamic area. Lots of different use cases. They're changing all the time. I think probably the most common thing we see is misconfiguration being a key issue. We're building scalable virtual firewalls for massive data transfer. Private clouds are still being built out. Multi-cloud is the new norm, I suppose, along with hybrid clouds. SaaS and CASB, the SaaS security is very, very much focused and limited to the API capability. Containers and Kubernetes, as you know, and serverless long term. Application security is becoming more important sometimes than the firewall in the cloud. You've got to make sure you can see everything going on. Static IP addresses don't exist in the cloud, and then of course edge compute. And so for us, our dynamic cloud security portfolio inside 6.4 or 6.41 is really focused on network security, making sure we can secure the network, we can remediate flexible license systems. As you move into the cloud, you need to be more dynamic. Platform security, 40CWP, really focused on that user configuration compliance. And then application security, again, not only just for WAF, but also for things like Office 365. Now, I'm not going to talk about Fortinet SaaS services. We probably have more SaaS cloud services than anybody out there. It ranges from the gate management to manager, analyzer, mail, web, AP switch. Across the whole of the fabric, we have SaaS capabilities. But we want to make sure those are integrated into the platform. We want to make sure those services are available to our partners so they can manage them on your behalf, or even to our service providers. So we're investing just as heavily in the cloud as anybody else out there. Another area of the fabric we call zero trust network access. Now, unfortunately, the term zero trust is used in many different ways, for identity, for microsegmentation, for firewall segmentation. A lot of people have taken it and it's probably used in many different situations for the wrong thing. From a Fortinet perspective, we use it in terms of trust of devices and trust of users. So knowing and controlling everyone and everything on the network. If you look at devices, obviously there's a wide range today. It's not just your laptop or computer or mobile device. There's a lot of different IoT devices. There's a lot of factories now putting IP enabling their robots and whatever it may be from an industrial perspective. Two types though of devices. One that you can get an agent on, and one that you can't get an agent on, which is agentless, obviously. Very different ways of dealing with those types of devices. And then there's users. Users in the office. Users now working from home. That's very pertinent to where we are today. And there's users in between, maybe not so much these days traveling, but in the future, in between the office and the home, traveling around. And then, of course, there's the identity and access control and management of users, again, on the network and off the network. Network access control is going to be becoming critical going forward for IoT security to give you visibility of everything coming on and off your network. And again, a single point of management and analytics. And then we can make sure we can provide that automation, not only across the zero trust zone, but also back into the rest of the infrastructure. Now, one of the most important parts of the fabric is the threat intelligence, applying threat intelligence or AI-driven security operations across all those threat vectors we just talked about. Now you have your botnets, you have your malicious code, you have exploits, hackers, malicious URLs. The majority of the spend today is in prevention. These are usually signature-based systems, endpoint protection, next-gen firewall, security mode gateway, and WAF systems. But increasingly, customers want to have more focus on detection. Detection is a bit more sophisticated in that it's not a known threat, it's unknown, it's a zero-day. We have systems such as sandboxings that do behavioral analysis of files. We've got now EDR systems. Even WAF systems are using AI machine learning, as well as things like user entity behavioral analysis. a lot of the detection systems will rely on artificial intelligence or machine learning. So really the key then is to detect, but then to respond as quickly as possible. Automation, SIM and SOAR. And it's not just standalone automation systems. You need the automation built into the products themselves, for example, EDR. So what you're trying to do here is automatically prevent, detect, and respond as quickly as possible to any cyber threat by applying artificial intelligence across the complete digital attack surface. So what's happening in terms of security operation trends? The Security Operations Center really is convergence and automation. If you go back to traditional type products, you'd have separate next-gen firewall, EPP, secure email gateway, and SIMs. And what we've seen is that some combination of these products is happening. Next-gen firewall, adding sandbox, EPP and EDR coming together. Security email gateway and browser isolation, SIM and UBIS coming together. Long-term, all these products and more are coming together. Not so much in a single point instance, but more as an automation of different things that talk to each other. I mean, SOAR probably is the best explanation of this. For large enterprises and with a mature SOC, you want to be able to see all of this. If you're more of a small, medium business type customer, then this all needs to be in one single SaaS instance. Let's zero in on endpoint security. Over the last couple of years, what used to be referred to as endpoint protection or EPP is starting to merge with EDR or the detection and response capabilities. If you're really focused on EPP and you're a smaller company, actually FortiClient is absolutely fine for this. If you're a larger company and want to have a combined or integrated EPP and EDR solution, then FortiEDR is the product for you. It's cloud-based, it's a lightweight agent. The post-execution protection is what sets FortiEDR apart. As soon as it detects suspicious process, it diffuses the threats by blocking malicious actions automatically and instantaneously, protecting customers from fileless malware, ransomware attacks, and stopping the breach in real time. It really does perform very well. For Fortinet as a company, obviously we have quite a few products which have agents. You've got FortiClient, you've got FortiEDR, some of our NAC and SIM products have agents. Our long-term goal is to bring this all together. Then you can decide exactly what agent you want. Is it just VPN? Is it EPP? Is it EDR? Is it all of those things? Throughout this presentation, we've been referring to the Fabric Management Center, consisting of management, analytics, and of course the end goal is automation. So across the whole fabric, FortiGate, APs, NAC, WAF, endpoint management is there with a single fabric policy. You can build workflows and audit those across the whole fabric. We built in zero-touch deployment for many of the systems, and of course started to add central orchestration for things like SD-WAN. Analytics, very important. You can do the basic logging, or you can do the analytics across the system. You can see the complete fabric topology in a single view, and we started to add those sort of compliance reports like PCI. Then what you can do is automate. Through the connectors externally, and then fabric stitches, you can build that automation workflows to take advantage of everything you can see. And then also security rating automatically scans in the background for best practices and compliance. So with the Fabric Management Center, you can automate workflows across the entire fabric, leveraging real-time network analytics and rapid response for the security fabric. We see going forward AI, the ability to apply AI across the fabric as the future to predict things which are going to happen. And then maybe the final piece of the fabric jigsaw puzzle is the fabric ecosystem, one of the most extensive in the industry, if not the most extensive, with 360 partners across 4 different areas. The first one being connectors. This is something Fortinet develop mainly to larger platforms or orchestration systems, for example, SDN, Cisco ACI, VMware, NSX, Cloud, AWS, Lambda, identity-based systems, endpoint, incident response, automation, threat feed. So they're in the system, just point and click, put the credentials in, and away you go. Very extensive API. Everything in our GUI and CLI is available in our API across the network functions, infrastructure, applications, endpoint, etc. Over 160 partners here. We have a thriving DevOps community on GitHub with things like Ansible for automation. You can just take those, download Eventually, those sort of integrations become connectors long term, as long as the platform becomes widespread. And then the fourth area is the extended ecosystem. Not only do we exchange information through FortiGuard and larger organizations, but things like NAC and SIM can extend well outside of the Fortinet product portfolio to lots of different vendors, switching, APs, even firewalls, to make sure you can see your complete ecosystem. So really, this extends the security fabric well beyond the Fortinet footprint. It benefits the ecosystem. It allows you to make sure you can migrate at your pace. If you want to migrate towards a full Fortinet platform at some point, you can still integrate with your existing infrastructure. So to summarize, it's all about the security fabric or platform. It's the only cybersecurity platform that's been built from the ground up. It covers the entire attack surface, single console. It's available in many different consumption models. It is the solution for your cybersecurity threats. Now next, Robert May, our VP of Product Management, is going to show you some of the fabric in action with some great demos.